Research for Better Teaching and Linda Mood Bell are two examples. We've been able to send groups of 15 to 20 teachers each spring to participate in Linda Mood Bell training, and that's reading training. The course they went to this year was called Visualizing and Verbalizing. It helps teachers work with students to create mental images of the text that they see on the page, and last year it was early phonemic awareness training. So they've been a great help for that, and collaboratives was kind of the theme of the year. The tech side's real quick. We did a huge upgrade last summer, so the benefits of that were realized during this year. We upgraded all of the labs district-wide and introduced, I believe, yes, we had a mobile laptop cart in the science department at the high school, which allows them to use the vernier training, which they did last summer, which is probes, using probes, plugging them into different things, grabbing data, drawing it into an Excel program, and being able to manipulate it. So hopefully that's facilitating their hands-on active learning. We did a pilot, this one's kind of neat, a pilot of thin client classrooms. There are little devices called in computing, and Nick Lanford, our network administrator, read a report on North Carolina was going forward with this huge implementation of these thin client devices. It was going to cut down on energy use. It allows the person in Nick's role to only have to update a fraction of the amount of computers, and all of the updates go out to the individual sites. So we tried a couple of lab classrooms that we have, learning centers, worked out well, and we're going to this year move our pilot to some teacher sites to see how it handles the applications that the teacher would use. So the vision for this would be, if it's able to handle larger applications, this would be a great way to go for labs, especially at the elementary school. We don't foresee ever being able to use it in something like a CAD lab because of the intensity of the application, or in a graphic design lab, but there are definitely sites where people are using it primarily for Microsoft applications, online gradebook access, where this could really be a money saver for us going forward. So I don't want to speak too soon that this is a possibility. Like I said, we're stepping into it to make sure it's robust enough to handle our needs.
I do think, though, that moving forward, the big buzz phrase now in technology is cloud computing. I'm sure you're following that. And I think, you know, where you can Google apps, you don't need to buy applications anymore. Everything's in the cloud. Of course, there are security issues, et cetera. But I think, you know, with the annual 60,000, which could go up, you know, down the road, that we spend every year on new equipment, I think if you get into that, if you're looking at that whole cloud computing, probably not next year or the year after, but maybe 2 or 3 years down the road, it may be a money saver long term for more than, you know, just isolated labs. We could have all the computer labs, you know, in the cloud using applications.
One of the best places for us, both financially, environmentally, and just in labor, would be teacher classrooms setups.
Okay.
Because right now, a lot of them become so customized. Well, they're not that customized, but there's always the trip to the classroom to have to update something, where this would allow them to go to the closet, update, what is it, 10 to 1? Update one machine to serve 10 thin clients. So, like I said, we're trying it out. I'll admit I was a little skeptical because I said, I can't, North Carolina went whole hog into this, and I said, I can just see us opening school on, you know, day 2 and nothing works, and where do we go from there? So the goal would be to just keep expanding it to see what its limits are. This is early generation, so by the time they're at version 5, is it going to be that much more of a savings? Does the cost go up? Did they tell you you need higher back-end machinery? Those are all the things we're trying to work with the numbers to see. But we're excited about it, and we think it's really going to be something, a real positive gain for us in the future. And right now, the cost is $176 per unit versus $750 per unit, plus a monitor. The teacher VPN, something we're really excited about. Depends on your work habits, whether you're going to get excited about it. It allows you to log in and access all of your school documents from home. So a teacher can access all of his or her documents from home. People who have dedicated stations can just remotely log in, and it's just like you're in the office, so you're never really away. Some of us are good at shutting it off at home, and some of us aren't so good at shutting it off at home. I have to thank the parents for their continued generosity. They continue to be a source of technology gifts for the district. Smart boards seem to be very popular right now, and they've continued to contribute money to help us reach those goals. I know Mr. McKay had a whole list that his parent group was able to fund for him, everything from document cameras and digital cameras to, I think he got some smart boards. And what we're trying to get we're trying to get a pilot classroom for the clicker devices, which are the immediate response systems. So everyone has basically it's like a remote control. And if I ask a question and give you a multiple choice answer, every student can log in their response at once, and it can feed into a spreadsheet. So you can really get just-in-time information about how students are doing, whether or not they're comprehending the lesson that you're giving. So we're hoping to get one of those pilots up and running for next year.
It's a brave new world.
And eventually we'll be able to integrate it to their phone, I'm sure, but we're not there yet. Okay, website expansion's on here. Unfortunately, it doesn't coincide with my early message from the evening, but we have expanded the use of the website just as a means of communication about all of the things we do, from the business office and the curriculum office to each of the schools. The principals are really starting to get into it and to get things posted and compete a little bit of who's going to have the most current things. So we've started to really develop the depth of it. There was a time when there weren't a lot of documents up there, but now there's quite a bit of information, and it's something people are now thinking second nature. Oh, I put out this memo and I'm going to post it on the web. So we're still working to develop that, and we had an increase in teacher websites for the year, and we're running a course this summer, and there should be more up for the fall. Okay, this may be getting a little redundant in some areas, so let's, we talked about the Title I math tutors already, the health class. AP practice sessions seem to be doing the trick. I think the preliminary numbers from Mr. Bernard were that our scores look pretty good. This year he was really happy, and through CP MSIE, the Salem State Collaborative is what we call it, we've been able to have some regional practice sessions. They focus mostly on STEM topics, so our history AP teacher decided we should do one here on site, and he offered our very own North Reading practice AP, and his numbers were, the kids did very well. I don't know that we can make a direct correlation, but they do say comfortability with the format and understanding the environment does help. So that was a nice piece we were able to add. Study Island, something I haven't mentioned yet, but does go along with the Title I funding. It's an online coach. There's an ELA side, there's a math side, there is social studies and science also. What we have for K-8 for next year will be the math. And basically for kids who are struggling or kids who just want more practice, you can log on either in school as part of the assignment, or you can use your username and log on at home to go on and practice different skills. We use this for science at the high school in one of our coaching classes. So that's a nice tool, I think. Really looking for technology options to help families at home, for homework extensions, for skill building, because I think it's an easy way for parents to help their kids develop, find out what we're doing and develop the skills that they need to continue their success in school. I spoke already about the enrichment program. Specifically, I wanted to mention two things that are going on this summer. The Mcat Academy, that's tied to Title I. We're funding the program with that money. We have 55 plus students coming 3 days a week for 3 weeks this year to receive extra help in math and or English studies. It's really, it is buzzing here, and it's buzzing at the batch this summer. It's like we're still in session. There are kids coming and going all day long, and it's really nice to see, because they look happy and they're having a good time while they're here, which means we're doing it right. So in addition to MCAS, right next door we have summer enrichment, which we're able to get off the ground for the first time this year. There was a robotics class, creative fiction writing class, a book club, and cultural voyages, which is like an art history hands-on course. And in that we had, I believe, 22 students overall. Small group to start, but we're hoping the first successful summer will generate an even more successful second summer. WISE, we did it again this year, and again 30 plus participants. That's the field trip day for women in middle school to go and hear from women who are in the field of engineering and science about career possibilities, and it's always positive feedback. I think I've already hit on most of these. If we're looking at the summer work for 2009, we'll run our faculty camp at the end of the summer this year, just in time for coming back to school. Power standards might be afraid you'll start to hear us talk more about. That's basically, if you look at if you ever looked at one of those framework books, there's more in there than you could possibly do in a student's K-12 lifetime. So it's really identifying what the absolute must-knows are and kind of breaking it down from the must-knows to the should-know and the nice-to-know. That way there you develop a strong core that every student, regardless of their ability level, will have. So we're starting work on that in mathematics specifically. And then the rest I think I've already touched on. We're continuing with CPM-SIE and our online courses and new teacher induction. Next year, we're going to roll out the K-8 science sequence, as I mentioned, the discovery learning, the thin client. The elementary report card, that's kind of our Munis.
I say that's
our
a big
Munis.
one. Yeah, that's good.
And it took a lot longer than we anticipated on the back end to get everyone set up. And then to take the numbers away and put in student data and teacher information, and that's what Nancy Anzoni was doing throughout the year, really building the entire database for pre-K-5 so that they're able to actually plug in the information and generate the report cards. And my personal project this summer has been to work with the company called My Learning Plan, and it's going to automate our professional development, enrollment, and tracking going forward. So we're really excited about that one as well. And I think that's it. I probably didn't make the time limit. That's a little long. But happy to answer questions. Like I said, there's a lot more. There are subcategories to all of it. It's exciting to me because, you know, sometimes you get bogged down in the day-to-day and you don't feel like you're getting anywhere, and then when you sit down and reflect, you realize that people are producing incredible amounts under not always the best circumstances. So,
Any questions from the floor?
questions, concerns, things we should be looking at?
I have one question,
Mhm.
and I think I've asked this a couple of times. The grade access to websites where teachers have grades online of your students' homework assignments, etc. Is that something that we're working toward, where every class will be online so I can access it or any parent can access it?
Yes. I think it's a two-pronged answer. Technically, that can be done whenever. Technically, it can be done, and we just need to subscribe to the service.
Okay, I understand.
And so I think what we would need is a game plan of how we'd want it to roll out. I think, just thinking, the high school is probably the most logical place to start, and I think John and I are starting to have some serious conversations about what that would look like.
I guess the other question I would have on that, this would probably be for David to answer, is that something that each teacher would have to do, or could that be a choice? I guess that's probably one of the issues, correct?
I would start with a pilot group who are capable and willing to get started, and
Okay.
then I think that's a broader question for the
Right.
whole committee to tackle in terms of
Okay.
what that would look like.
I just know that in the past, some teachers, maybe they're renegades, but they, especially at the high school, they've gone off and used systems that are available. And I know as a parent, I find that helpful to see what they're studying, what the grades are, and what they should be doing. I just find that helpful.
I think there's a couple of those things. We've talked about a communications policy, which would have every student have a connection to the website that they could access from home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the other thing that you mentioned about having resources for parents on that website to help with homework. I remember, this is a number of years back, but I was trying to help one of my kids with some physics. And I think my recollection was about atomic structure or something. And I thought I knew all about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the student, my son or daughter said, no, that's not what we're being taught. I said, oh, it's right in my book. I trudged on to the basement, found